I was born in the year 2003, so for anyone born before 1997, sorry for that, I guess. A Zoomer is somebody born between 1997 and 2012. Now, being born in 2003 and growing up with considerably less than bleeding edge hardware, I have been playing games from the 90s since I was able to pick up a PS1 controller. So I've had a very different background with games to many of my peers. But let's fast forward to 2020. Like most gamers mid-pandemic, my cousin Whitey and I were both bored out of our freaking minds trying to find something new and interesting to play. So like any dirt cheap Steam user at the time, I went through an unnatural amount of free games between 2020 and 2022. And being the good friend that I am, I also forced Whitey to play all of them with me, even if it looked completely terrible. I discovered many great games that I will probably never play again ever, like FPS chess and Kaboom. As I was trying out all of these free games, I realized that FPS really is the genre of game that I tend to gravitate towards the most. And I stumbled across a game that called itself a champion-based arena shooter. Champion-based I'd heard of, arena shooter I had no clue what that was. And the trailer on the Steam page absolutely blew my mind when I watched it. Well, I mean, technically everyone in the trailer's mind was blown out of their heads, but somehow I was figuratively blown away by that. Initially, Whitey wasn't keen on playing it with me, but somehow between boredom and probably my constant nagging as well, though I'm a bit fuzzy on the details, I convinced him to download the game with me. We were completely unaware at the time, but Quake Champions ended up being a game that we have almost constantly played to this day. This year was actually the first year where we stopped and took a break from it for a while. After booting up the game, signing in and trying out the 1v1 game mode, which admittedly we were quite clumsy at because neither of us had ever played a lot of shooter games at the time and neither of us had ever played movement shooters at this point. This was before my Titanfall 2 days. But the insane weapons, the Lovecraftian theme, and the strange movement with that unique gameplay that just comes from messing around as well in private lobbies, I guess, was fun enough to get us just totally hooked on the game.
Like I was telling you.
You just come back here, you.
No, you stay away.
So for the next year straight, we played this game almost exclusively, and also exclusively with just the two of us. For me, it was mostly because I could never find matches online. I tried getting friends to play it, but Quake Champions is a brutal game to play, even if your opponent is only 1% better than you. And even though Whitey and I tried our best at the time to teach them duels, which was the only game mode that we were playing at the time, none of our friends ever really enjoyed it the same way as we did. The two of us enjoyed two completely different aspects of the game too. I have a, shall we say, aggressive playstyle. I like to bull rush in and get close and personal. That doesn't really work by itself, but more on that in a bit. Whitey comes from an RTS background, or real-time strategy for those unfamiliar with the eldritch speech that just came out of my mouth. His childhood game was StarCraft, which he still plays and streams. He recently started playing it in small tournaments too. But RTS has certain requirements. A ton of concentration, map knowledge, anticipation, planning your opponent's next move, even when you can't see them, controlling resources and multitasking. These are all skills that Whitey was already equipped with that I just did not have whatsoever. Which meant for that the entirety of the next year I lost 97.97.97% of the time, and boy did I used to feel awful about it.
Ooh. Showstopper.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. Just one more, and with the shotgun. GG's.
It was last kill.
You lose.
It was. That means
So
I
you
win.
win.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And yet somehow, even though losing sucked, and I hated that I was losing 1-20 all the time, every single match, I kept playing the game. There were some challenges in learning to play Quake, and I think the biggest one was restraining myself from charging in blindly all the time. The other one was aim, and boy, my aim was terrible at the time. For an entire year, I couldn't get these concepts through my head. Even with all of Whitey's tips, in the heat of the moment, all my decision-making skills always just decided that now was the time to pack the bags and go get some milk. And, you know, not gonna lie, after a year of this, you feel pretty terrible about your skill. And remember, it was just me and Whitey playing at the time, which meant that I was always playing against someone who knew my every move and tendency, and had known this for pretty much our whole lives because the two of us have just been playing games since we were little. There was no variation in playstyle and no one else to learn from. YT found and introduced me to the Quake World Championship, which I don't think most people know about, so if you're unfamiliar, definitely check out the videos from it on YouTube. Or don't, I mean, I'm not your mom, but she probably will tell you to go and watch it. They are casted matches with players around the world playing one of the world's hardest and oldest FPS franchises. And every moment is edge of your seat action. After watching one of the games with YT over Discord, I was feeling pumped. I don't know why or how, and I don't remember who was playing, but somehow that match that we watched gave me an adrenaline and focus level that I haven't had since. We booted up the game for like the zillionth time that week and jumped into a duel. Again, I don't know what happened that day, but somehow I played pro, and I could see every decision YT was going to make before he made it. I had control of the mega health and the heavy armor that periodically respawn on the map, and I was hitting the vast majority of my shots. And after absolutely destroying YT in that match, things went straight back to the way that they were before. Making bad choices, charging in headfirst, losing every match 1-20, but I felt better. Now that I knew that this was possible, that I could beat YT, and that I could play well, I had to play well consistently. After that, YT and I joined a local South African Quake Discord. There's one French dude in there too. I have no clue how he got in there, but he's super cool. Shout out Ganesh. We didn't stick around very long initially. For me, it was just, I was just shy. I felt super awkward chatting in voice chat on Discord with people I didn't know at the time. And then after a little while, YT started playing on that server again. And after being stomped twice as hard as usual, I realized that I needed to be taught and challenged by people playing above YT's level. And he had improved so much from the couple of months that he played with them that I just couldn't keep up anymore. So I plucked up some courage and I joined them. And man, I learned a lot over the next while. For the first while, we mostly played team games or free-for-alls in large groups. But inevitably, people have lives and need to call GG for the night, so one day we ended up with just 3 of us left in a voice chat. It was myself, YT, and Dukums, and we decided to rotate through duels. The game started, it was me against Dukes, and I immediately began to use my usual run around the map as fast as I could strategy, forgetting that you need to go get the mega health and the heavy items every 30 seconds. Dukums noticed this and immediately asked me why I was leaving items. When I told him I didn't know how to get the timings right, he just told me that he would leave the items and let me practice getting back to them every 30 seconds. And item timing is an important technique to keep track of when the 2 items spawn, the mega and heavy I mentioned earlier. When you collect one, you glance at the clock, add 30 seconds, and make sure to come back around just before your in-head timer is up. I didn't get this down until a year later, but slowly it started to become more natural to me, and nowadays I weirdly just seem to have developed an instinct for it without timing myself. But this is what my own experience with the Quake community has been so far. The game is brutal, and each mistake you make creates a mountain for you to climb to get back up to where you were. Oh, hello. No, whoa. Hang on. How did I last so long against a shotgun with a quad?
How not to trash you.
But the people that I've played with have been an insanely cool group, and they're always willing to help you learn something new. So this answers how I got into the game, but for those who don't know, this is how Quake plays. Let's start with the movement, which is probably my favorite part about Quake. If the movement tech didn't exist, then the game would not be nearly as fun as what it is. I'll give a basic rundown of all the movement in this game. Strafing is your basic technique right after simple walking. It's essentially bunny hopping by continuously holding forward and jumping, then alternating between your left and right movements, each jump panning your mouse slowly in the direction that you move. It looks like this on the screen. I'm not going to go too in depth into this. This speeds you up to be a heck of a lot faster than what walking would get you, and without it, you will never have a positional advantage on any map in this game. Air strafing is a form of normal strafing that is only accessible to 2 characters in Quake Champions: Anarchy and Sorlag. This works like regular strafing, but it's a lot smoother and longer with the mouse movement, without holding forwards, and it lets you do insane 180-degree turns and jumps around nearly impossible to traverse terrain. Sliding is available for use with Strog and with Slash, but they don't work the same for both. Strog has shorter slides and Slash pretty much just never stops sliding. I believe Slash is considered to be the fastest character in the game, and you need to be able to predict her movement much faster than other champions in order to catch up with her. Only one character in this game can go fast by just holding forward, and that is my boy Jaybyrde. Once this absolute unit of a champion gets up to speed with some strafing, you can just hold in forwards and he just keeps going at the same speed, more or less. He can also do full 360-degree turns on the spot if you wanted to. Not sure why you would, but the instant 180-degree turns are magnificent. I'm just going to combine the next three here since there isn't much to say about them. Nyx can do a double jump when she's against a wall or similar surface. Doomslayer can double jump. Yes, he is in this game, but Doom fans be warned, they had to nerf him slightly for obvious reasons, so just keep that in mind if you decide to try this game. Ranger, or Quake Guy as I believe he was called in the original Quake game, has an orb that he can throw and teleport to. The cool part is that if you get your timing right when you throw it and teleport inside of your opponent, you kill them instantly with a telefrag, which is so hard to get right but so satisfying when you do. As far as the weapons go, there's quite a few. Weapons are found scattered around the map and you gotta go pick them up. I could spend a long time talking about them, but here are your options in a TLDR form. Gauntlet, starting machine gun, heavy machine gun, starting shotgun, super shotgun, starting nail gun, super nail gun, lightning gun, rocket launcher, railgun, and tribolt. There's a long list of game modes which I will show here on the screen because you probably would know what these are without me needing to explain how they work. Now the game also has resources which are pretty much just health, armor, and ammo, but there's different variations of them and they don't all work the same. The mega health is a giant blue plus sign that gives you health boost past your health cap, and for most champions this doubles their base health straight up. It respawns every 30 seconds and is very crucial to keep your opponent from getting juiced up on this thing. The heavy armor is the same as the mega health except for its armor and green. That's pretty much it there. Don't let your opponents get this either. Protection and quad only spawn during team-based games. Well, you can 1v1 if you make a custom mode, but protection makes it so that you only take a third of the damage that you usually take, and quad quadruples the damage that you deal. So one shot will kill most people. Health bubbles and armor shards are mini versions of the heavy armor and the mega health, and they respawn every 15 seconds and are spread around the maps. There's also ammo for all the weapons which have 20-second cooldowns, but I honestly never remember to collect those. If you have to learn one thing in Quake besides the movement, it's map knowledge, because learning the layout of the maps and which paths to take has gotten me out of a lot of near-death situations. Learning item locations, different paths, champion-specific paths that can't normally be traversed, positions to hold, and just common paths used by your opponent is how you get really good at this game. Quake Champions took me over almost 2 years to learn, which is entirely my fault for not finding a group to play with sooner. If you do that, you will learn a lot faster than what I did. And I still have a lot to learn about this game. It's a game that you have to be humble about playing. You know absolutely nothing when you get into this game. None of the modern games really train you for the experience that you're going to go through. Apex Legends, Fortnite, CSGO, Overwatch, even Titanfall, which is a movement shooter, none of these games truly prepare you for the overall gameplay and feel of Quake Champions. Also, just as a side note, I did play through most of the first Quake game too, and a little bit of Quake Live, but Quake Live is a different ball game entirely. I'm not even gonna try get good at that one yet. If you also like movement shooters, you might like this Titanfall 2 video. I don't know, give it a go. If you don't like it, just watch something else. See ya.